Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, back at it again with another video. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick recap of what happened during today's matches, my time, that of course being day 2 of the Stage 5 Major, as well as what you guys can expect going into today, your time, that of course being day 3 of the Stage 5 Major. I actually want to start out by just apologizing for such a long upload yesterday. I know it was like 30 minutes long, it was like an ungodly amount of time, but I just wanted to go through all the stats since yesterday was so crazy with the Faze match and all that. But today I've learned from my mistakes. I'm not going to make it as long. I'm just going to talk about some of the series that are a little bit less important and look at the series stats. So with that in mind, we of course kick things off today with the Seattle Surge taking on the Ravens. And personally, I thought this would be a 3-2. You guys know I was expecting it to be very, very close map by map, but that's not what ended up coming to fruition. Apart from the raid hardpoint that was 250 to 247, and the Gary control that was 3-2, the series wasn't really close. In the Moscow S&D, it was obviously a wash for the Surge. They won 6-2, but they were in control pretty much the entire time, apart from the control, obviously. Um, Ravens went up 2-0, I believe, and then Seattle ripped off 3 straight. But the last round, I think they had attacking maybe, and it was really, really unsure of how it was going to end. And then they got a really big break uh, on the B point, I believe, and they were able to close out there. So looking at the series stats, Afro had a 1.35. He was absolutely frying in his last series of the season. Sean had a 1.02, and then Paul X had a really uncharacteristic performance of a 0.82, and Alex had a 0.77. So really, it was just small things on the London side. Paul X and Alex just kind of weren't in the mix for the majority of their games, I would say, and that kind of cost them. But on the Surge side, they just played well and they played together. They played their game and they won. They played very patiently and they waited for the game to come to them, and that really showed in the game 3, and it's what helped them to win. So looking at the stats, Classic at a 0.9, Octane at 1.13, Gunless at a 0.94, and Persini at 1.16. In our next series of the day, we had an absolute shocker. We had the Mutineers taking on the New York Subliners. You guys know I was expecting this to be a pretty convincing win for the Mutineers. You know I thought it was going to be a 3-1, but it was a 3-2 win for the Subliners. Subliners pulled out the massive upset here, even without Clay. So maybe they're going to do something at this tournament. They face Thieves tomorrow. More on that in a minute, but I'm really keen to see how they do in that matchup. Of course, looking at the map 1, it was 250 to 207 in favor of the Mutineers. And statistics-wise, they just outslayed the Subliners by a wide margin. That's why they won this map. And then the Miami S&D, it was more of the same, really just outslaying the Subliners. Then Checkmate Controls, where, of course, Subliners were able to turn it around. It was pretty even on their side, the slang efforts, but on the Rokkr side, on the Mutineers side, Havoc and Wake struggle a little bit, and that's what really brought them down towards the tail end. In the game 4 raid hardpoint, of course, the Mutineers, they just got tucked to bed, and honestly, Subliners played this really well, and they closed it out very strong. I believe it was the basketball hardpoint that they closed it out on, maybe, but they played really, really well. Looking at the map 5, it was a game 11, round 11, and the Subliners were able to walk away with it. So this is really shocking me. I thought the Florida Mutineers would have the ice. I thought they would clutch up. I thought they would walk away with the round 11 victory. But the Subliners just had the ice, and, you know, they walked away with the victory today. They were the better team, clearly, and they really deserved it. So what more can really be said? Hats off to them. And I think they're going to make a decent enough run at this major in the losers bracket, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe the Thieves will clap them. Who knows? I don't know. This Florida team, they just throw off everybody's form so much. I've said it before, but they still wrenches in the mix. Looking at the series stats, didn't want to get into the maps map by map. It's just going to take too long. Looking at the series stats, Skies had a 1.15, Neptune had a 1.06, Havoc had a 0.91, and Wake had a 1.04. And then on the Subliner side, Asim had a 0.74, Diamond had a 1.05, Mac had a matching 1.05, and Hydra had a 1.02. So really, the AR duo played very, very well, and Asim and Hydra, I mean, they just played in tandem very well. So they brought it back and they won the series. That's all that matters. But the Subliners are here, man. They're here to stay. Maybe they'll make the run. Maybe they'll beat Thieves. Who knows? I don't know what their ceiling is, but that core 3 of Mac, Hydra, and Asim is very strong. And I don't know what their limit is at this tournament. They could really make a run. Of course, looking to our next match, we have the Minnesota Rokkr taking on the Dallas Empire. And this is a really big matchup. Honestly, this matchup was going to be very telling to me in terms of the form of both of these teams. I really didn't have a lot of faith in Minnesota, as you guys know. I really thought that their win yesterday was a fluke. yesterday my time, of course, 2 days ago your time. I really thought it was a fluke, but today they clearly proved that they've just made the improvements, and they're in the upper echelon of teams, at least on land right now. So looking forward to seeing, excuse me, looking ahead to tomorrow, I think that the matchup against Ultra will be very interesting, but I think Minnesota will walk away with it. Enough of that. Back to the series at hand. Of course, the Rokkr got off to a really bad start, honestly. They lost the opening hardpoint, that of course being Gary hardpoint, 250 to 170. Gary's a map that Rokkr are very strong on typically, so this surprised me a little bit, but I figured they'd get it back in the S&D. I thought the S&D would really be the turnaround for them, and it indeed was. They won the Miami S&D 6-4, and they looked really good on this map. They had control the entire time, and Sandy was just being really annoying and just having all you can eat. So looking at the map 3, that of course being raid control, the Rokkr won this pretty convincingly. It was a 3-1. They dominated really the entire time. I wasn't expecting them to dominate Empire on raid control. Raid control has been a very, very strong control for the Empire. It's been one of their strongest map and mode types all season long. But on the other side, it's been one of Rocker's stronger maps since adding Sandy to the roster. So this one was really, really up in the air for me, but I did favor Empire just given the fact that they've had such great form on it in the last few weeks. And then on the map 4, Checkmate Hardpoint, this was a real shocker to me. I thought the Empire would bring it back here. And I thought they would force a game 5 and then win there. But honestly, Minnesota, they were just playing out of their gourds. Like, this is their weekend, man. This is their tournament to lose, in my opinion. They beat the 2 biggest favorites, obviously that being Dallas and Faze, are winner and runners-up from the last major, respectively. And, I think they're here to stay. I think they're going to make it to finals, and I think they have a really good chance to win it. So looking at the series stats, Sandy was frying once again. Him and Priesta, man, they've just been going off. They figured it out. So Sandy had a 1.25, Priesta had a 1.24. Attach, Young Goes Attach is back on the scene, making me smile, man. 1.12. Major Maniac with a 0.84. Now on the Dallas side, Vivid had a 0.85. Grim had a 0.79. Illy had a 0.85. And Shotzi had a 1.11. That's crazy. I mean, Empire's been playing really, really well in the last few weeks, and the fact they're able to make them go neg, that tells me a lot about this Minnesota Rokkr team, man. They're scary. They're really scary. And honestly, after the way that Toronto played Optic, a really subpar Optic, I would say. Optic was not playing as well as they could have. They made a lot of very, very simple mistakes that could be fixed quite easily. And, there was a lot of complacency there. So there are some clear holes in Optic's game that Toronto exploited. So I'm not really sure that Toronto is being tested well, right? I think they had a really easy walk to this winners finals. Thieves, it's Thieves. Like, they're all over the place. John hasn't consistently played that well for them, and it still went to a game 4. Yeah, 4. And I don't know, man. I think Rokkr takes this. But looking at the Toronto Ultra versus Optic series, you guys know I was expecting Optic to walk away with a 3-1. But famous last words, as I often say, Optic and 3-1s name a more unlikely combination with top teams, right? So looking at the map 1, Checkmate Hardpoint, Optic clutched up big time around the end of the game, P2. So they won 250 to 236. It was, I believe, 200 to 236 or so going into it. And Optic was just able to really chain P1 to P2 from P5, of course. And yeah, they brought it back. Miami S&D, the Ultra got it back in blood, and they won 6-2. And then on the raid control, Optic won 3-2. And then they won an offense. It was pretty crazy. I think they were down, like, don't get me the line, 16-8 or something. The life count was pretty hefty in Toronto's favor. I really thought they were going to lose the control, and I thought that was probably the series right there. But they brought it back. They won 3-2. Then Ultra responded in kind, winning 250 to 134 on Gary Hardpoint. Gary's a really strong map for Ultra, so this wasn't surprising to me. When I saw this map set, I honestly, I was in a Discord call. I said, this is going to 5. I said, Optic win map 1, Ultra win map 2, Optic win map 3, Ultra win map 4, and then I said Ultra probably win map 5. Express is just not a map that I feel very comfortable backing Optic on. It's not one of their stronger S&Ds, and they lost 6-2, really proving my point. So looking at the series stats, Scump had a 0.93, Formal had a 0.94, Envoy had a 0.94, and Dash had a 0.93. Then on the Ultra side, Insight went even. Vance had a 1.16, Cammy had a 0.89, and Kleenex, of course, had a 1.21. So the SMG duo of the Ultra really, they played very well today, and you could tell that their strategy and their game plan was kind of played around the SMGs. They were really like getting the most engagements. You see Kleenex had, Jesus Christ, this guy had, oh my God, he had like 220 engagements. That's actually insane. Or 210 engagements, I'm sorry. Math is hard. So Vance and Kleenex, they were just doing it all for the Ultra, and that's why they won the series. And then on the other side, of course, Formal and Scump, uh, T2P, they played very well in the map one. And then, you know, it was just all over the place after that. Dashy had a few performances. Oh, map one, I'm sorry. It was Scump and Dashy that played really well. But then, you know, it kind of fell off a cliff at a certain point, and the consistency just wasn't there for either team. But the teams were playing well. Their team play was very good. So it was a really interesting series, very tight, very exciting. And going into tomorrow's match between Rokkr and Ultra, you guys know how I feel about that. But I don't know how I feel about Optic versus Faze. I'll talk about that in a second. So pulling up the schedule, I'll of course be looking at tomorrow's matches right now. And I know we're kind of pressed for time. I've been recording for a while. So looking at tomorrow's matches, we of course kick things off with the LA Thieves taking on the Subliners. And personally, I do like the form the Subliners have been in. But the one thing that makes me nervous is the fact they're going, they're going to game fives against teams that are not in the best form. The last Stage five, let's call a spade a spade. They got whooped. I mean, they got 3-0 by the Ultra. The Ultra. I'm getting confused with my teams now. They got 3-0 by the Rokkr, and the Rokkr, they just made quick work of them. They made Florida look really bad. They made them look like the Gorillas. So honestly, I don't know that if you're the NYSL, you can really have much confidence after winning a game five against the Gorillas and then winning a game five against, of course, the Mutineers. Two teams that are really not in great favor and have kind of been in a slump to really in stage five. And stage four, they did well. Mutineers played very well in stage five to start, and then they fell into a slump. And they haven't really come out of it since. So I don't know what you say on the Subliner side, but for me, I'm saying 3-1 for the Thieves. I think they are the better team. I think they're a good team that's in good form right now, and I think this will really be what stops this really amazing run from the Subliners. As much as I hate to see it end, I think this is where it ends. In our next matchup, we're going up against Surge, and I think it's a 3-0 for Faze. Even though the Surge are playing really well on land, they just can't hold the top teams when they come up against them. Like when they faced Optic in the winners bracket, in the losers bracket last time. No way in hell Seattle made the winners bracket in any of these majors. When they faced them in the losers bracket, the last major, I mean, it was pretty one-sided. I think it was a 3-1 for Optic. So I think it's going to be a 3-1 for Faze. This is a big-time rebound for them after losing to Minnesota. I think they're going to be really, really, really pissed, and they're going to be out to prove a point, and I think they will do it in this series with a very decisive 3-0. That would mean that Empire LA Thieves if they win. So they play the winner of LA Thieves versus Subliners. And personally, I think the Empire walk away with the series in a 3-1. I'll say that much. I think Empire is going to play very, very, very good COD tomorrow. I think they're going to play very conservative. I don't think they're going to do what they did today and just kind of go balls to the wall. I think they're just going to go by the book. I think they're going to do what works for them. I don't think they're going to experiment a lot. I don't think they're going to go crazy with the vetoes like they did today. They went kind of rogue, letting Miami in. I think they're going to be, very clinical about it. And I do think they walk away with the victory over Thieves or Subliners 3-1. In our next series, we have the rematch between Optic and Faze. Damn, man. I wanted this to be the final. Um, I think Faze walk away with it. I would be really happy to see Faze walk away with it here. I still think that they're the best team in the game. I still think they will win this major at the end of the weekend, excuse me. And I think it starts here. I'm going to say it's a 3-1 for Faze. I think Optic, after this loss to Toronto, I think they're probably going to be pretty demoralized, if I'm being honest. And I don't see them really rebounding against a top tier team. They can never seem to rebound against these top tier teams when their backs are up against the wall this season. And I don't see that stopping against Atlanta Faze, unless they have a massive collapse or they're just not in form. I think Faze walk away with this 3-1. And in our last matchup of the day, we have the winners finals. We have the Minnesota Rokkr taking on the Toronto Ultra. And I think the series is going to be really, really tight. But I do think the Minnesota Rokkr walk away with a 3-1. This Cinderella story of a weekend that they're having, I don't think it stops tomorrow. I think they are cementing themselves as a top team right now, right? I mean, the top four is wide open, right? Dallas Empire, Toronto Ultra, Optic, they've all been wishy-washy with their form. But Ultra, I just don't see them getting past Rokkr tomorrow. Rokkr was playing so well today. They beat Empire. Empire was the second best team at the last major who beat Ultra. I mean, the cards are aligning perfectly for them. They beat the two best teams in the game without a doubt, back to back, and they beat them dominantly, right? 3-1 and 3-1. So I think it continues tomorrow. I think they're going to go through the top three in order, and that's going to be crazy. That's a crazy way to get to the grand finals and say we're a top four team, man. Rokkr cold. So yeah, guys, I'll wrap it up for me. I think tomorrow's going to be absolutely nutty. I'm thinking 3-1 Thieves, 3-0 Faze, 3-1 Dallas, 3-1 Faze, and then a 3-1 for the Rokkr to close it out. I think tomorrow's going to be a great day of COD. I'm going to be cycling through my jerseys tomorrow. First, I'm putting on my Atlanta Faze jersey. You guys see me in it right now, and then I'm putting on my Rokkr jersey. So happy to see the Rokkr doing well. Hope they can continue it. Hope they keep the momentum rolling. I hope you guys liked and commented on this video. Help us get the engagement up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hope you enjoy all the COD action tomorrow. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News. Hope you guys are enjoying all these major matches. This major is crazy. This is the best way to end the year. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.